Shabbat Shalom family. Our selection today, the Caterpillar Song.
Lifted up off of my feet. Some asked, how could this be? When they saw that I could fly, how could one become a new creature? And this was my reply. Once I was a caterpillar, transformed, been reborn, and Yahweh is the reason why I didn't re-enter mother's womb. I didn't have to die. I've been transformed, been reborn, and Yahweh is the reason why. If you want to be lifted up, then lift up the Son of Man. The way Moshe lifted the serpent when he was in the wilderness. Once you lift him up, all things are passed away. All things are become new, and you become a new creature that day. Once I was a caterpillar, now I'm a butterfly. I've been transformed, been reborn, and Yahweh is the reason why I didn't re-enter mother's womb. I didn't have to die. I've been transformed, been reborn, and Yahweh is the reason why I've been transformed, been reborn, and Yahweh is the reason why I've been transformed, been reborn, and Yahweh is the reason why.
The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you're sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becometh saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you up on earth. Therefore, let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. Praise Yahweh. We are about to begin another year, which always begins with Yahweh's holy days. But there's definitely a significant difference that we notice in the world about the things that are happening as we begin our new Hebrew year. And it is Yahweh's new year. It doesn't belong to anybody or anybody's, calendar system. It is Yahweh's year. For us to even believe that somebody else has a calendar system is taking the glory of Yahweh and putting it in a man's hands. When Yahweh created the things that orchestrate what our year is defined by, there were no nations, there was none of these things set up. So you have to think about the many just many years. We're talking about millions of years that this sun and this moon has been here, that man was not. So for us to name a calendar system after a man and follow what a man has called and ignore the things that are constant, which are those things that are in the sky. And we don't watch those things like we used to, because we got phones and tablets and televisions. But you take that away and you understand that our people had intricate knowledge, in-depth knowledge about the stars and the heavens, because it was their television. They noticed the difference. Normally we don't even notice that, the changes in the sky, because we don't watch it like that. But Our ancestors noticed every change in the sky. Last night, that star was over here. Wait a minute. You know, this time last year, those things moved the same way. So they started figuring out patterns of how those things moved. And we've gotten so far away from that now we believe that some paper set thing is how Yahweh directs us. And paper and reading and something handed down to man can only direct the people who can read. So Yahweh didn't have a calendar system for man before he started reading and writing? You think it took, you think about how a baby learns. Did a baby, did you teach a baby what an apple was by writing down apple? They learn by the things that they see first. And if you are placed here on this earth, the things that you're going to see are going to be up. And here's the thing. Everybody can see up. If somebody hands somebody a calendar system, you know that can't go anywhere but to the people that they handed it to. Did they hand that same book all the way across the globe? Did they go everywhere? But you know one thing that everybody can see? The sky. So when Yahweh does his work, whenever somebody tries to minimize it, you can tell that there's something wrong. Yahweh is going to do a work so magnificent that nobody is going to miss it. And if you're paying attention, you're starting to witness the things that Yahweh is doing now. It's getting everybody's attention. Okay? Some of us are still going on business as usual, like nothing is happening. But for Yahweh to redeem the children of Israel, the entire earth has to be disrupted. This is not going to be a quiet thing. I remember when there were certain things done in my life, and my elder was alive then. He said, "Look, man, don't keep your business to yourself, because people gonna have problems. They got jealousy issues. Just don't put your business out there." And I said to myself, when Yahweh do something that he knows he can get some glory out of, he not gonna keep it quiet. And he didn't. That's how Yahweh works. So these things are happening for a reason. So today's sermon is entitled Wars and Rumors of Wars. And we're going to begin today's sermon in Matthew chapter 24. Matthew chapter 24. And we're going to start that at verse 1. Wars and Rumors of Wars.
And Yahshua went out and departed from the temple. And his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. And Yahshua said unto them, See you not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down.
Right. So Yahshua is telling them about the great turmoil that's going to come. But it flows right off the tongue. They are talking about this great temple. He's telling them this temple ain't finna exist in a very short time. So if that's what you holding on to for your faith, I'm telling you, you about to have a problem. Go ahead.
And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the signs of your coming and of the end of the world? And Yahshua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you.
So you from the question, you can automatically see that they believe, okay, when this is destroyed, then your kingdom comes immediately. He knows that's not how that's going to happen. But this is how they are perceiving that. Go ahead.
Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the anointed one, and shall deceive many. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet.
All these things must come to pass. So it has to get started, and when you get with this, you're going to find that it is connected to the redemption of the children of Israel, but a lot of things have to happen. And when you consider that the children of Israel have been spread across the globe, he can't just upset one place. See, we are in every place. And if you don't consider that, you don't really know what Yahweh's doing. Go ahead.
For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows.
Now, when you deal with, for nation shall rise up against nation and kingdom against kingdom, when you consider the things that are happening right now, the famines and the pestilences are right behind this. See, part of the logistical part of war is cutting off ports. You know, some of the things that's happening are, the ripple effect is going all across the globe. It's not just staying in this area. And we're going to get a little bit more into that. Go ahead.
You know, my brother, as you talk about the ripple effect, it's like even though we're focused on what's going on in Ukraine, how many people know that Japan has been suffering from all these different earthquakes going on in Japan?
It's rather interesting. You know, that things are, you know, one thing happens and another thing happens. And what really shakes us up is when we've been living, and this is what we want, you know, constant peace. But when we don't get some kind of turmoil, you're not ready for the things that are about to come. So although we want to live in peace, what we need to be focused on is have a place of peace. You want your house to be peaceful. You want to be able to keep peace on the Sabbath. But after that, you need to go ahead and load up and gear up and ready for war. You need to put on your armor, grab your sword and shield, and let go. There's a reason why I say, hey, well, the Rolling Stone didn't take his hat off, and you know, hey, that was his home, right? Soldier ain't taking his shoes off until he comfortable, cause he got to always be ready to fight. These folks, you know, letting off, you know, missiles. You can't be over there lacing up shoes. They done already took off running. You trying to loop, swoop, twist? Nah, man, you dead by the time you loop and swoop. Go ahead, bro.
You know, when you even talk about the famines, how many people know who is the biggest supplier of wheat? The two countries is fighting right now.
Not only that, when they're cutting off the ports, understand how this is going to affect our people of color. Who gets that wheat? Ethiopia. All these other places that are getting these grains that are being cut off from Ukraine and Russia. Mm-hmm. So you have an enormous amount of problems that are about to go down because these things are being cut off. So when you read here where it says in verse 7, for nation shall rise up against nation. All right, we're seeing that, right? Kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines. The cutting off of the grain product from being shipped to these other nations is starting the famines, which then causes food riots and all of these things. Brother Harrell sent me a nice video. I think he's over in Gambia, and he sent me a really nice video where this sister was breaking this stuff down, where people were sitting there calling, saying that, you know, hey, this is a white person's war. Why are we, you know, even concerned with it? And the sister started breaking down all the African countries that are going to be affected because all of these wheat and grain exports that come out of that area, now they're being cut off. So then what happens? So you got that part that's blocked off that's coming from Ukraine. But then you have what America is trying to do in trying to block anybody from receiving Russian goods. So now you have a double-fold effect of all of these places that are not going to get food because of two factors. America is initiating one, and then Russia is initiating the other through war. But in actuality, America is initiating the first one too. I sent out a video to a few brothers where this it was some Indian television station where the woman is breaking down the whose fault this situation was, and true that Russia has made the offense, but the woman said, look, you got to back up and let's go back through history a little bit. When the West put together NATO, Russia put together the Warsaw Pact. So basically they were starting their groups to go against each other. Well, Russia agreed to disband the Warsaw Pact if the West would take away NATO. America and the West lied. They said, yeah, we'll disband it. So they disbanded the Warsaw Pact. But then not only did NATO not disband, but NATO multiplied. So when everybody tried to say that Putin is a liar, you have to understand Putin's aggression. You have lied to Putin for 30, 40, 50 years. You understand? You have lied to their country. Their country disbanded the Warsaw Pact, and now you're trying to make the people on their border, Ukraine, you're trying to make them NATO, which is trying to make them a democracy, which is threatening Russia's home life. So when you look at this situation and everybody say, we feel sorry for Ukraine. No, NATO got Ukraine into this. You don't bolster up somebody to go against a bully, and then when they start getting slapped around, now you act like you ain't got nothing to do with it. You the one that set this off. And this woman is going down, breaking each part of this down and how long this has been going on. So then NATO has made all of these places on the border of Russia, basically turning them into a democracy, which basically they can control from the West. Russia kept saying what you're doing is a provocation. They kept doing it. Well, it ain't but so many times you get to keep pushing somebody before they push back. So understand what's happening. In our television and our news, we're going to get one side of that story. But you need to, look a little deeper and see the other side of that story. That this is just not some dictator. I ain't saying the guy is right. I'm not saying the guy's not doing some evil, but I'm saying that the evil is not unprovoked. That's what you got to understand. We watch football. Who's the guy who get the flag? Come on.
The last person.
Exactly. The one who retaliated, the one who get the flag. Everybody know this. Pay attention. You run the replay back, you find the first hit. That didn't get the flag. But then the one who gets angry and swings, everybody said, oh, look at him, he's just a beast. Look at him, look how he just threw him down and he kicked him. Look at that. They should throw him out the game. This game ain't the game. This is no place. There's no place in the game for this. But this guy done hit him and said some awful things about his family and everything. Nobody caught that on camera. Well, there's some of that going on. Go ahead.
Matthew chapter 24 and verse 8. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake.
And when we just look at the transatlantic slave trade, we know of these certain places where our people have been scattered. But our scattering has been going on for many, many generations before that. So when we say we are in every place, we are everywhere. The remnants of our people are everywhere. This is why I find certain things interesting, that we want to focus on just certain things, but we're going to have some people that are going to come out of some areas that we have never even considered that our people might be. Go ahead.
And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because lawlessness shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this is the gospel of the kingdom. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. When you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Whoso reads, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray you that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day.
So then we're talking about this great destruction to come, and Yahshua is still talking about the Sabbath day. People are telling, well, you know, the Sabbath don't matter anymore. Wait a minute. This is future that he's talking about. He still think the Sabbath matter. You listen to other people, they'll tell you, you know, every day is holy. That's not what Yahshua thinks. If the Sabbath didn't matter, why does he mention it like it's going to matter? Not that it doesn't matter at that point. He's speaking of a future destruction, and not the immediate one that they are about to get. He's talking about the one we are about to get. And he's still talking about the Sabbath. Go ahead.
For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened.
For the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. And when you think about all of the advanced weaponry that is on the face of the earth, this is what makes things very volatile because of the weaponry. Now, America's way of dealing with most of these things was to attempt to make sure nobody else had the weaponry that they had, and that worked for a little while. I mean, you know, even as we talk about when we look at this situation, Ukraine and Russia, like we spoke about earlier, it's not just a situation of them. You have how this is going to affect the rest of the world. And as we look at the situation and we say, you know, Russia's this guy's a evil person and he's such and such. Let's pause for a second. America waged a war for weapons of mass destruction. Nobody ever found a weapon of mass or destruction. So then something has been said about how evil his campaign is. The one thing you got to understand something. This is on his border. Where America went to war was nowhere near our border. How were their weapons of mass destruction going to affect us here? They had a weapon of mass transportation. It's called oil. That is what they wanted. And this situation is also causing some issues with that, because now that, and I'm sure nobody has missed the $4 gas prices, and this is just the start of it. So because they have put the things against Russia, now Russia say, well, I'm going to stop sending my oil to y'all. And understand, a great amount of Europe gets their oil from Russia. Mm-hmm. People are not understanding how this is, when you talk about the things that Yahshua mentioned about these famines, all of these things, this little conflict is causing ripple effects all over the world. So now he's going to the what was it? One of the rockets that United States had been using to go into space. It's a Russian rocket. They said, well, they're going to stop doing stuff from us, then we're going to stop giving them our stuff for them to go into space. Said, let them fly on their brooms. We know what that insinuation meant. All right, you ain't got to be a genius to figure that one out. So Russia has also said on the next graphic, America and anyone who helps Ukraine is going to see destruction like their country has never seen before. And I don't know if you guys noticed that Russia just launched another rocket and went to the International Space Station. Right in the midst of all of this, they got a whole nother thing going on. Now, is there a deeper purpose going on there? Because he's talking big, and he's saying, look, we have the weaponry to make sure that, and other things was already said, saying you will not be, this war will not be like the other wars that you had before. See, the other wars that we have been in before, when I say we, America, it was a situation whereby they were able to sit across the water. All the damage, when you talk about going to Vietnam, you talk about, those were wars in somebody else's country. They never felt any explosions here. So it's easy. The only way the West has seen war is been on CNN. It's different when the downtown area of your town looked like Beirut. When the building looked like it ain't finished building because the bombs done took out every window in it. It's different when that's what your landscape looked like. And for the most part, none of that has been felt by the West. Putin is saying those days are over. A couple of planes landed in Venezuela. They can fire off from right there. They ain't got to go nowhere. And those planes carry nuclear weapons. So we have to understand the landscape of what's happening. The next situation on the next graphic, you have Taiwan versus China. So now as all of this is happening, at the same time, now China starts flying things, invading the airspace of Taiwan. Now, we know Taiwan holds the majority of the chips that go in all of these devices. Y'all realize that they have like massive amounts of brand new Ford trucks and all of these things that can't come off the lot because they don't have the computer chip to finish them. But the whole truck is finished, right? But without the computer chip, it does not work. Understand that. So just understand that, and that's just because of the pandemic slowdown. This has nothing to do with war situation. So now you got the situation because America's busy trying to deal with Russia. China knew exactly when to go ahead and start up. All right. So now they're making their talks and starting to deal with Taiwan because they have the same situation with Taiwan that Russia has with Ukraine. They say, look, this used to be ours and we want it back. The problem is almost 80% of the chips in the world are made from in Taiwan. So if China gets their hand on those chips, it's over. So just this conflict alone starts a world war. So now we're looking at two possible world war type situations going on simultaneously. All right. I mean, we still watching MTV Jams, you know, but we got you know some serious things going on. So while all of this happens, as we go to the next graphic, North Korea is also jumping in the situation, saying that, hey, we got enough stuff to go ahead and destroy America right now. It used to be a time that people wouldn't part their lips to say something against America. And all of these countries are starting to talk and say their things back to back. But understand what Yahshua said. You're about to hear about this. This is just the beginning. No rulership or dynasty lasts forever. Nothing. As great as the Egyptian empire was, every rulership has tried to mimic it. It couldn't stand forever. None of it stands forever. Yahshua is the only one that can stand forever. So when you consider that, there is a time limit based on somebody's ability to be number one upon the earth. There's a time limit on that. And the problem is, these individuals here are not accustomed to not being in charge. So this is going to be a mighty, mighty blow. And as we go to the next graphic, to cap this all off, you got a so-called mistaken, accidental, we didn't know what a button was, missile launch. That India just fell on the button and shot a missile. So, just in all of the things mentioned, all of those things have happened within a space of about 35 days. Mm-hmm. I need you to understand what's that. Everything that is mentioned has happened in a very short span. Now let's go to Jeremiah chapter 50. Go ahead, bro.
You know, in all this, one thing we don't even look at, who you don't really hear anything from. Israel saying too much, right? There's this situation here. It says, Israel torn over ties with Russian oligarchs. Right? Formulating its policy on Ukraine crisis, Israel must take into account its coordination with Russia in Syria, its special relationships with Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky. Yes,
because he's Jewish.
Right. Its super important alliance with the United States and its large Russian Ukraine-born population.
Brother, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. Jeremiah chapter 50, and let's start that at verse 1.
The word that Yahweh spake against Babylon and against the land of Chaldeans by Jeremiah the prophet. Declare you among the nations, and publish, and set up a standard, publish, and conceal not. Say, Babylon is taken, Bel is confounded, Murdoch is broken in pieces. Her idols are confounded, her images are broken in pieces. For out of the north there comes up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast. In those days and in that time, says Yahweh, the children of Israel shall come, they and the children of Yehudah together, going and weeping. They shall go and seek Yahweh their El.
So understand, as we start getting into these prophecies, you're seeing this great destruction, but you have to also include that with the redemption of the children of Israel. See, these things happen and they go hand in hand. That's why Yahshua said, look, don't worry, these things must take place. You're not going to be freed through some peaceful means, okay? Understand what happened in Egypt. All firstborn had to die for them to say, all right, get out. And the arrogance of these people, before it's finally destroyed, they're going to tell us the same thing. You know what? Y'all get out. And we're going to go ahead and borrow. This is when black borrowing is going to be at its highest. But this is also Yahweh protecting us as they get finally taken off the map. But it ain't going to be no question whether or not should we go, should we do this. They're going to make sure of it. Get out. We got this. Go ahead.
They shall ask the way to Zion with their faces thitherward, saying, Come, and let us join ourselves to Yahweh in a perpetual covenant that shall not be forgotten. My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place. All that found them have devoured them. And their adversaries said, we offend not.
We offend not. We haven't done anything wrong. So when you go down to the situations of slavery, what they did was say, you know, these people are like animals. So it's okay if we treat them brutally, if we rape them, if we maim them. It's you know, it's not a crime because these are not people. Like nobody got arrested for killing their animal. They did what they wanted to do with their animal. They worked their animal to death if they wanted to. That was their animal. Well, this is how they fixed in their mindset about us so that it was okay to mistreat a man because he's not really a man. It was their own arrogance that wrote this declaration of their independence, their constitution saying all men were created equal. Their arrogance made them say that because while standing next to you, you wasn't a man. Not knowing that their own words would be the vehicle, their own arrogance would be the vehicle through which we would get free. And that's why you have that $2 bill, that one black dude that's on the back.
Mm-hmm.
He's telling them, yeah, go ahead and sign that. That's going to be the vehicle through which all my people going to get free. Right there. Sign it. Because see, y'all not defining a man. I know y'all think we not men. But you're not clarifying that in this writing. So yeah, I think you ought to sign it. This is an act of treason against the mother country. Yep, sign that treason. Sign it. Sign it. Go right ahead. Mm-hmm. Now it's going to be a minute. But my folk going to get wind of this right here. And if you look on the back of that $2 bill, you're going to find it's one person. Now, this ain't no color picture, but you're going to be able to see, hey, it's a little tint to this green that's a little different right here. And some people say that's why they stopped circulating the $2 bill. They say it's unlucky. Why is it unlucky? Because sooner or later y'all going to find the negroidal features on the back. Go ahead.
Because they have sinned against Yahweh, the habitation of justice.
Right. Because they have sinned against Yahweh, we don't transgress by doing something to them. That's how people fix their minds to say it's okay. Go ahead.
Even Yahweh, the hope of their fathers. Remove out of the midst of Babylon, and go forth out of the land of the Chaldeans, and be as the he-goats before the flocks.
Right. Now you have a lot of people that want to do this, and they do it so early that they only go to another place that's worse than the place where we already at. The issue is you need to be consistent with the move. All right? So, you know, a lot of people say, you know, hey, we going to, you know, this place. We saw some of those things where they were talking about they starting to kick the Israelites out of Israel. All these people done went over there. We're going to go to the Holy Land. And then they get over there and find out it ain't that holy. And now you got people who have been over there for generations. Okay? These people were born there, the people who they're kicking out. These are not like the people who came from Chicago and moved over there. This their grandkids. Their grandkids got to leave. Here's the problem. They ain't never been nowhere else. So if they come here, they're going to have some major problems. They're like, what is this? They ain't never been nowhere else. And people don't really consider that. We just, you know, take this as a self thing. When you talk about the children of Israel moving, it's about the children of Israel moving together. The Spirit ain't just following you and your cousin. You can think whatever you want to think. It is about Israel moving in mass. Go ahead.
Verse 9. For, lo, I'll raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country.
Right. So you're starting to see the assembly of nations put together. Now understand, you just know the front runners. Because Syria has basically Russia has called in a Syrian debt. They said, look, you owe me money. You know what I'm saying? Now, we need some soldiers. Syria said, well, they on the plane tomorrow. They already in it. Syria is already in it. They talking about Russia gonna run out of people. Russia like, no, we not. We got some people that's gonna die. They ain't got nothing to do with it. Syria is so war torn that to them, the soldiers who get money to fight for Russia, they said, hey, this is 5 times what we get. So what Russia has basically gotten for free, if you will, because it's only going to erase a debt type thing, they have a Syrian mercenary force. Go ahead, brother.
And they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expertman. None shall return in vain.
In other words, every missile they shoot gonna hit something. They couldn't miss if they wanted to. If they did like this, it gonna hit something. So they can just keep. Pow, pow, pow. Man, it's amazing. We're not even aiming. Right. That's what happens when the Spirit is behind you for destruction. Even your mistakes still destroy stuff. Go ahead.
And Chaldea shall be a spoil. All that spoil her shall be satisfied, said Yahweh. Because you were glad, because you rejoiced, all you destroyers of mine heritage.
Right. See, Yahweh is allowing this to happen. Said, you are the one that's destroying my heritage. Now, you have to understand, this is going hand in hand with the people who are in power and hold Yahweh's people. You can't find no other place on the earth that fits that description. Even the other places where we are, we're there in a smaller number, or even if it's a greater number like in South America, they ain't in power. This is the place that's in power. This is the one Yahweh dealing with. Because the destruction of this place is going to cause a ripple effect that is going to be felt all over the world. Go ahead.
Because you are grown fat as the heifer grass, and bellow as bulls.
Right.
Your mother shall be sore confounded.
Right, your mother. Which, this is the only country that was birthed out of another country. This country, it was the colonies that came out. These were English colonies. So this country was birthed out of another country. So now it is beginning to separate the destruction of the daughter separate from the destruction of the mother. Go ahead.
She that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert.
Now, here's where this gets interesting. Your mother shall be ashamed. Okay, as you was talking about the situation with Israel, you know, I was hearing about all of the recent trips that the Israeli leaders have made to Russia, even some unannounced, that they're going back and forth. Understand, they have long had this connection, but we're going to get a little bit deeper into this connection when it's saying your mother shall be ashamed, right? Well, when it's talking about her mother shall be ashamed, you're talking about the Europeans, all right? Understand something. The people who we call Jews, they're European. So when you talk about the turning on America, understand, Israel has worked out a deal with America that whatever, I forgot what they call it, there's some kind of name for it, that whatever weapon America gets, Israel gets. This is the agreement that some idiotic individual, you know, got into law, but Israel has an enormous lobbying situation here with American politics. So whatever the enormously powerful weapons that America creates, they have to give Israel one. That is a part of their agreement. Okay, now, Brother Kish just mentioned all of the deep connection that Israel has with Russia, because all of these people are, basically Europeans. Well, what if, as America is handing off weapons to Israel, that every time they get 50, they get Russia one? And all Russia needs to do is reverse engineer it. And maybe that's some of the cause behind the big talk. We know what you got. Because every time you get one our cousin, he come over here and give us one. And then we reverse engineer it so we know exactly what your stuff can do. So now we got your technology, and now we finna make it better. So every time you shoot one of those, we shooting 5 of these. And ours gonna be better than yours. Because you done made an idiotic agreement to give everything of yours to these people. And these people are more connected to us than they are to you. Go ahead.
Verse 13. Because of the wrath of Yahweh it shall not be inhabited, but it shall be wholly desolate. Everyone that goes by Babylon shall be astonished and hiss at all her plagues.
Right. So we have to also put in this scenario that there is this huge underground volcano called the caldera in the middle of the United States. Understand that Russia knows that's there. So while everybody is targeting all of these things, a volcano is an underground atomic bomb. Now, what happens if you hit an atomic bomb with an atomic bomb? It is going to splice the country in half, geographically. Go ahead.
Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about. All you that bend the bow, shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she has sinned against Yahweh. Shout against her round about. She has given her hand, her foundations are fallen, her walls are thrown down.
Now, you have to look at the double-fold part of prophecy. See, you have the Babylon that was there before, and then you have this future prophetic situation that is going to take place, because when you talk about old Babylon, which was the location of Iraq, people still live there. This one's saying it's going to be so bad that only animals live there. So when you deal with Chernobyl and the accidental nuclear site that didn't go right, only thing that can live over there is animals because of the high radiation. As it starts explaining that nobody shall be able to live there, but the desert animals, they shall grow there. If you go to the situation of Chernobyl and the nuclear accident, they have it walled and blocked off. Nothing has been in it. When they go in it, to this day, they got full suits on. They got all the little sound things checking radiation. The wolves and all the animals have multiplied in that area. They are living, and they check them. They got radiation all in them, but they can still live with the radiation. Just people can't. So when you hear it starts describing how the animals of the wild animals will live there, but no man shall live there, understand, it is explaining some kind of nuclear fallout. Go ahead.
For it is the vengeance of Yahweh. Take vengeance upon her, as she has done, do unto her. Cut off
as she has done. Now hold on. The only country that has bombed anybody with an atomic weapon, a nuclear weapon, is this place. Mm-hmm. Did y'all pay attention that Russia mentioned that last week? Y'all didn't pay attention that Russia mentioned the atomic bombs that America dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Mm-hmm. He just mentioned it. And this says, do unto her as she has done. She's the only country who has done that. Go ahead, brother.
Cut off the sword from Babylon and him that handles the sickle in the time of harvest. For fear of the oppressing sword, they shall turn everyone to his people.
Okay, so you start to get the pushback. You're already seeing it in Europe. All of these, there's a refugee crisis going on. Everybody is taking off running because of the fear of the oppressing sword. Well, right now, arrogance is so high here that ain't nobody running nowhere. People still, you got rednecks talking about, I'm going to get in my bass boat and I'm going to show Putin something and I'm going to catch a couple fish on the way. Yeah, you keep telling yourself that. Go ahead.
And they shall flee every one to his own land.
Now, the difference is all of these people know where they're from. See, when you go and have a conversation with Gentiles, they have crests on their wall. They can tell you, well, my mom is Irish. His mom is this. They know where they come from. So when it comes down to run back somewhere, they got somewhere to run. They allowed us to call ourselves African Americans. So where you going to run in Africa? Africa not a country, that's a continent. So you got 52 countries, I think, in there. Okay? Pick which one of them 52 you run into. Go ahead.
Israel is a scattered sheep. The lions have driven him away. First, the king of Assyria has devoured him, and last, this Nebuchadrezzar, king of Babylon, has broken his bones. Therefore, thus says Yahweh of hosts, the El of Israel, behold, I'll punish the king of Babylon and his land, as I have punished the king of Assyria. And I'll bring Israel again to his habitation, and he shall feed on Carmel and Bashan, and his soul shall be satisfied upon Mount Ephraim and Gilead.
Now, you notice each one of the times you're getting this thing of destruction, you're also getting the redemption of the children of Israel. Now, if Israel is already in the land of Israel, what is Yahweh talking about? The whole book don't make sense if Israel is already in Israel. That's why they can't read out of it. That's why they got to read out the Talmud. Because this don't make no sense if Israel already there. So they got to get another book to read out of. Because if they read out of this one, wait a minute, Rabbi, how are we here then? They start to question their own existence. So they can't read out of this. Go ahead.
In those days and in that time, says Yahweh, the lawlessness of Israel shall be sought for, and there shall be none. And the sins of Yehuda, and they shall not be found, for I'll pardon them whom I reserve. Go up against the land of Merathaim, even against it, and against the inhabitants of Pekod.
And when you deal with those names, you deal with double rebellion. Merathaim, double rebellion? Then you deal with waste. Double rebellion and waste. And you got to consider, man, we don't even consider just how horrible things go here. Okay, they have developed a jab in a year, and they told all us to go and take it, right? Now, they have this product, benzene, I think it is, a cancer-causing agent that has been banned in pretty much every country, but it's been banned in America for the last 45 years. How is it that they have 200-something products that stuff is still in and causing people cancer right now? And the FDA, the same people that told us to take the jab, you understand they're and we talked about a part of this when we spoke about the medicine. The way the FDA does companies is there's a system of self-reporting. You got to be kidding me, right? So they are dependent on the fox to tell them how many chickens he got. Surely the fox gonna tell you, yeah, I ain't eat no chicken. Was that a feather? I didn't eat no chickens last night. I don't know where them chickens went. I think they ran away. This is their system that the companies report themselves. So now, once they got caught, Now you're seeing all of the voluntary recalls that are happening because they have this benzene in it, and it is a list, a laundry list of products that cause cancer. We spoke about the Zantac, how it's the cancer, the amount that stuff was supposed to have of one thing. One Zantac pill had 3 million more parts per million or whatever it was in one pill. Now think about if you took the whole case. And these are the people that we're supposed to trust about receiving the jab. These same people. I got to be a new fool to believe that if these people ain't been able to get the stuff that you have already banned 45 years ago, you can't figure out how to keep that out of products that's at Walgreens and Walmart. But I'm supposed to believe that you have thoroughly tested that stuff that you just made last year? And you ain't figured out this stuff in 45 years? I must have just fell off that turnip truck. And the sad part about it, you got degree-having people that's still on that turnip truck. And then they'll come and argue with you. You know, the science says that this stuff is safe. That's what the science said. Then you say, all right, well, show me the science. Well, it's with the scientists. Right. In other words, you're just repeating what somebody told you. Right. You need to go, when that turnip truck slow down, you need to run and jump back on it. Go ahead, brother.
Waste and utterly destroy after them, says Yahweh, and do according to all that I have commanded you. Verse 22. A sound of battle is in the land and of great destruction. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken?
Who else does that describe? The hammer of the whole earth. Did not Russia also make that claim this week too? Listen, y'all in everybody's business. You the hammer of the whole earth. It says, as she has done, do unto her. It says, cut off the sword. What? They said, look, you're trying to cut us off from food and all the things whenever we don't agree with you. He said, all right, it's your turn to feel that. He said, oh, $4 gas is just the beginning. We're going to be on bicycle. We're going to be the most trim people around. They're going to be like, damn, brother, how you stay so thin? Oh, because I've been riding my bicycle. Can't afford the gas. It's $12 a gallon. You know what I'm saying? So I pulled my bike out. I've been looking at the new bikes, the one with the 2 wheels in the back. I ain't got the balance that way. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, bro.
How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? I have laid a snare for you, and you are also taken, O Babylon, and you was not aware. You are found and also caught, because you have striven against Yahweh. Yahweh has opened his armory and has brought forth the weapons of his indignation. For this is the work of the Adonai Yahweh of hosts in the land of the Chaldeans.
This is the work of Yahweh. He is going to stir up those nations and make them angry. He is making sure that their arrows, aka missiles. You just outline a missile. What it look like? An arrow. He's describing war equipment before it's even produced. When he starts talking about these things that look like scorpions and they got hair as women. What do you think that propeller looked like? And it said, sounds like a bunch of horses. What does a helicopter sound like?
This thing is in its tail.
Sound like a bunch of horses. And what does it look like in the air? They are getting, and do you know that they fashion their weapons off of animals? If you're not aware of that. They watch how certain animals move and they put those characteristics together to try and make their weapons. So they make it. It says from their tails do they shoot stings. What does the missile shoot from on a helicopter?
From the back.
From the back. That's where the sting come from. Then it's like when the propeller, it's like hair in the air. So they have to describe things that have not been invented yet. Yet they are seeing them. And they got to make this, okay, how I'm going to make this so that the reader is going to understand this, because this don't exist yet. And then you watch how a hummingbird move. Hey man, a hummingbird is amazing. A hummingbird just come and it just holds right there and it just look at you. You know what? I'm out. Done deal. Shoot. Then you watch their weapons. Oh, look at how this thing moves. They are mimicking Yahweh's creation. It says, Yahweh says, he has made man upright, but man has made many inventions. So man watches Yahweh's inventions, and then he makes one, but it's fitted for destruction. Go ahead.
Verse 26. Come against her from the utmost border. Open her storehouses. Cast her up as heaps, and destroy her utterly. Let nothing of her be left. Slay all her bullocks. Let them go down to the slaughter. Woe unto them. For their day is come, the time of their visitation.
The time of their visitation. Go ahead.
The voice of them that flee and escape out of the land of Babylon, to declare in Zion the vengeance of Yahweh our Elohim, the vengeance of his temple. Call together the archers against Babylon. All you that bend the bow, camp against it round about. Let none thereof escape. Recompense her according to her work.
And if they're going to recompense her according to her work, then they're going to shoot at her like she has done in other nations. And when you consider those atomic bombs, you know, they don't like to put on television what kind of turmoil those people went through after that atomic bomb. Man, they had kids and, hey man, birth defects. They don't want to show that here. This was not just a bomb that it killed the people and it was over. No, it kept killing people. People were being born without limbs. No, you ain't gonna see that on CNN. Go ahead.
According to all that she has done, do unto her. For she has been proud against Yahweh, against the Holy One of Israel. Therefore shall her young men fall in the streets, and all her men of war shall be cut off in that day, says Yahweh.
Right. And we keep facing ridicule here in this country as if we're going to be the one to destroy it. Y'all looking at the wrong people. We're not interested in destroying your country. The people who are going to destroy this country look just like them. Spending all this time watching us, following us. We ain't going to destroy it. We ain't even interested in destroying your country. We want a tall ice cup of leave us the hell alone. That's what we want. Go ahead.
Behold, I'm against you, O you most proud, says the Adonai Yahweh of hosts. For your day is come, the time that I will visit you. And the most proud shall stumble and fall.
The most proud. See, it is written, pride and haughty spirit come before a fall. That's what comes before destruction. You see the same thing on men that you see on countries. We'll be in a situation and too proud to get help. Go ahead and count that destruction. It's on its way. Go ahead and put a date on it. And these proud people, they ain't gonna stop nothing. They're not gonna stop nothing until the destruction is too far gone. Then they want to say something. Too late to talk now? Go ahead.
And none shall raise him up, and I'll kindle a fire in his cities, and it shall devour all round about him.
And that's something that we have not felt here. See, we don't know what it's like. You know, we feel good we got money in the bank. Sometimes if you feel bad and you want to feel good, you look at your bank statement. Look at that. I have really done something for myself. You see that? You see that? Look at those numbers. Boy, it's gonna hurt like a mug when them numbers you can't get to them. And you go over there to the bank, they be like, no, we ain't got it. What do you mean you ain't got it? I see it on this piece of paper, it said you got it. And I need it. We ain't got it. No, somebody got it. Well, you're going to need to call Mr. Bank of America or the Mr. City. You know, call City or Mr. Bank, whoever the hell. I don't know if it's City is his first name and Bank is his last name, but y'all need to get him down here. Because I need to get my money. We ain't never experienced that. Half of us don't even keep any kind of cash reserve. We count on all electronic transactions. That stuff go down, we toast. You got all this money that you can't get to. And money that you can't get to is like food inside a glass. Damn, it look delicious. Oh my God, that looks so delicious. I sure wish I could get in there. That's just standing outside the restaurant. You smell that? Smell like fresh bread. I bet they got the olive oil on it. You know, sometimes that's even worse. That you're sitting outside smelling the food. And you can look at the food. But you can't get it. You look at any situation where most of these brothers done got in trouble, it's because they saw something that they couldn't get. And they went about to go get it. And all kind of destruction followed. They was at the wrong place at the wrong time. Look at that sister. Oh my goodness. They done saw the wrong thing. And they get mad when they can't get it. And sometimes that's also Yahweh torturing you. Showing you. I'm going to let you look at it. But you can't get it. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 33. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Yehudah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. The Redeemer...
They refused to let them go. When you get into the law of our Elohim, a Hebrew slave is only supposed to be held for 6 years. He shall be let free on the 7th. Then there's a whole nother freedom that's supposed to happen in the 50th year, which is the Jubilee. Every Israelite is supposed to be returned unto their possession. So you think about how many Jubilees have passed since we have been here. So when Yahweh sends Yahshua to come take care of that business, this is why he's not coming as a lamb. He's already came in the capacity of a lamb. He's coming as a lion, and the lion backs down for nothing. I don't give a damn how many hyenas you have. You ain't gonna run this lion away. Go ahead.
You know, brother, when you look at verse 33, kills that whole statement of, well, this tribe was in this island and this tribe is over here. He said, nah, they were oppressed together. Not at the same time,
right.
Together.
Right. See, we all got some kind of... So that whole thing of trying to pick what tribe you belong to is the most erroneous doctrine I have ever heard in my life. You know, these brothers over here like to wear blue, so they Judah. So you see blue, when you say Jew, you say blue. You know what I'm saying? So it's blue Jew, it's Jew blue. You know what I'm saying? So since it's blue, that's why they use these right here, they Judah. Man, if you don't get that twisted, I done smoked the wrong thing doctrine. I don't know where they got their medicine from, but they need to stop taking it. Because it is the strangest doctrine. Now, do we have people that are scattered all across? Yes. And we're going to get into that. But this whole thing that they're doing is some mess. Go ahead, brother.
The Redeemer is strong. Yahweh of hosts is his name.
All right, where you at?
Verse 34.
Jump to verse 41.
Verse 41. Behold, a people shall come from the north, and a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coast of the earth.
Have you looked at a globe and saw where Russia sits? It's on the top of the globe. Go ahead.
You know, speaking of that, what was her name? Helen Thomas, the House Speaker?
Uh-huh.
When she said these people are occupiers?
Uh-huh.
And the dude's like, well, what do you mean? She says, no, my people are from the North Country.
Mm-hmm.
So she telling you, no, I know how this story goes. Them people over there need to go back to Poland and whatever. The dude was upset.
Right.
'Cause I guess he was ish. She
Right.
said, no. They're occupiers.
Right. And you think about it. What you were talking about earlier, they were saying, you know, talking about the many ties that Israel has to Poland and Russia. Okay? Well, understand where the people came from. This is why I read 2 Kings 17, and I make sure I constantly go back so that Israel will understand this is how these people got into this land. They will try to tell you about how long they've been there as a statement that they are the true people, when 2 Kings 17 tells you exactly how those strangers got in that land. You need to have that dangling off the edge of your tongue at all times. It just need to be this 2 Kings 17 just hanging right there at the end. And then when you run into one of them well, our people have been here for generations. The 2 Kings 17, it was right on the edge. Because you know, right when you get ready to send out a loogie, you put it right there at the end, and you formulate, you get right there, you know what I'm saying? So the loogie will fly. You know what I'm saying? It need to be hanging right there like a loogie. So that you can just... I know I'm grossing the sisters out over there. I don't care. You keep 2 Kings 17 right there like a loogie, so you can just... And let's see them gainsay that. See, they talk that because they think you don't know where to go. That's why I keep going there. So you will know to go there. Because they're going to be aggressive when they approach you. They're going to approach you with arrogance. But no, you got a loogie sitting in wait. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 42. They shall hold the bow and the lance. They are cruel and will not show mercy. Their voice shall roar like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses. Everyone put in array, like a man to the battle against you, O daughter of Babylon.
O daughter of Babylon. Now, this is not talking about the destruction of the mother. This is not talking about the destruction of Europe. This is talking about the destruction of the daughter. Because, understand, Europe is in close proximity to Russia. There's a lot of oil and a lot of money is being made between them two. So they don't have the desire to destroy everything that they're making money off of. But the one that's keeping them from selling their own product, we got to get rid of her. Go ahead.
The king of Babylon has heard the report of them, and his hands waxed feeble. Anguish took hold of him, and pangs as of a woman in travail. Behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan onto the habitation of the strong. But I'll make them suddenly run away from her. And who is a chosen man that I may appoint over her? For who is like me? And who will appoint me the time? And who is that shepherd that will stand before me? Therefore, hear you the counsel of Yahweh, that he has taken against Babylon, and his purpose, that he has purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out.
Who y'all think the least of the flock is? Look at the smallest country in this entire world scene right now. Who do y'all think the least of the flock is?
Israel.
Israel. So when he talked about those things about how Russia, how Israel is constantly going back and forth to Russia. They got all these Ukrainians. They got the Polish. They are going to everybody talking. They are more connected to them than they are to Americans. They are just using Americans to get all of their technology. So when you talk about the least of the flock drawing them out, that's Israel setting them up. It's right here. Ashkenaz is German. Ashkenazi Jews are German. The least of the flock is going to set them up. Go ahead.
Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. At the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved, and the cry is heard among the nations.
Okay, so the earth is moved. So when that caldera is split in half, it's going to then cause a tsunami. The water is going to cover a great part of what is called United States. The entire earth is going to shift. The earth shall be moved at the taking of Babylon. Landscape is going to change when the water get higher, which is why my elder used to always say, hey, you island brothers need to go tell your folks to get up out them island, because when that water rise, a lot of that going to be underwater. Matter of fact, I started to call this class Judgment upon Babylon. You know? That way my folks will hear me. What is Judgment upon Babylon? We need to listen, mommy. Go ahead, brother.
That was it.
That was it. Let's go to chapter 51, and let's start that at verse 19.
You know, you were mentioning about the smallest of them shall draw them out. We got to think about how Netanyahu flexed his muscles when your boy was in the White House. And show you that I got America's ear.
Right.
Yirmiyahu chapter 51 and verse 19. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. Yahweh of hosts is his name. You are my battle axe and weapons of war.
Check this out. You are my battle axe and weapons of war. But a battle axe and a weapon of war has to fight Yahweh's fight, not our own. So we don't jump into other people's fights. This is why when our people joined onto the Vietnam War, what them Vietnamese said? Black man, go home. Black man, why you here? They kept saying, what you doing? Black man, don't you know they're oppressing you too? Why you here? There's countless of our soldiers came back saying, man, it was confusing. Them people, a couple of them people could have killed me, and they was like, black man, go home. They're like, I could have got killed. And instead of killing me, the Vietnamese said, go home. Why you here? I know why they shooting at me. They are occupiers. They are conquerors. They go all across the earth trying to take everything. I'm trying to figure out why you here. Same thing the Indians said. Why the Buffalo Soldiers warring against us? You know why they call us Buffalo? Because Buffalo got afro. So the Indians said, why the Buffalo Soldiers here? I know why the white people trying to kill me, because they want our land. But I'm trying to figure out, why the Buffalo Soldiers here? Why are they going at us? They are confusing me. Everywhere we get into these people's things, we start getting that thing of, why are you here? Because then we come back and they treat us like ain't nothing happened. We still getting called, just like Muhammad Ali said. Ain't no Asian man ever called me nigga. He said, what I'm going over there shooting at, there ain't no Viet Cong ever called me the N-word. I get called that right here. He said, so what I'm going over there for? Oh, they stripped him of his title. They stripped him of everything to try to demoralize him. How dare you stand up to get against us? Then they themselves pulled out of the damn war. But punished him because he wouldn't go. But then after they done lost all these people, they realized it's an erroneous campaign. It's time to pull out. What about all these people you done lost doing it? See, that's what shows you at some point you have to learn how to stand up for right, even when it's not popular. When my elder died, and we got some nincompoops that came behind him, when I stood up, I watched all these brothers in the congregation who was supposedly my friends. I watched them all come against me. Guess what? One by one, every last one of them went against the very people who I stood up against. My problem was I did it too fast. It took them 10 years to recognize the evil. They had to sell their homes and move somewhere to realize that the people was evil. I realized on day 2. I realized that day 0, I just gave them 2 days. Right. But when you stand up before other people stand up, or before they get the nerve to stand up, they lash out against you. Now, every last one of them individuals who lashed out against me have been from place to place, going through all of these things, and when they see me, they act like their necks lock up. There's a, I ain't gonna bite you. Why you doing all that? Because you know what I told you over a decade ago. But I ain't have to sell my house to figure it out. Right. Go ahead, bro.
For with you will I break in pieces the nations, and with you will I destroy kingdoms.
With you shall I do these things. So you are his battle axe and his weapon of war. You don't get to go to war whenever you want to go to war. You don't get to go to war because you got mad at somebody. The weaponry is used for the king's purpose. So you don't get to go to war on somebody else's soil because somebody hired you. You don't understand that you are a battle axe and a weapon of spiritual war. A weapon for holy war. You don't get to jump in everybody's war. That ain't your place. You using your ammunition the wrong way. Go ahead.
And with you will I break in pieces the horse and his rider. And with you will I break in pieces the chariot and his rider. With you also will I break in pieces man and woman. And with you will I break in pieces old and young. And with you will I break in pieces the young man and the maid.
Now, how many of y'all gonna be,
But you know what? Only women and children will be spared.
That ain't what he said right here. With you will I break in pieces the horse and the rider. With you will I break in pieces the chariot and his rider. With you will I break in pieces the man and woman.
So, well, we're not going, we're going to hurt women.
No. When Yahweh said kill everything that breathe, if you got roaches over there, I'm killing them too. I don't want none of your devilish roaches. I don't want them over there. They'd have all kind of demon spirits in my cabinets. And with you will I break in pieces old and young. The young that you allow to live will grow up and war against your children. Go ahead.
I will also break in pieces with you the shepherd and his flock. And with you will I break in pieces the husbandman and his yoke of oxen. And with you will I break in pieces captains and rulers.
And understand, this has to happen in the land that was given unto us. This is not that Yahweh is going to send us across the globe. We're not going to take other people's land. The only land we're dealing with is what was given unto us. This is the only place that Yahweh authorizes you to fight. It said when you go against the enemy that oppresses you in your land, then you shall sound an alarm with the trumpet. And Yahweh shall hear you when you blow your shofar, and he shall come to rescue you. Not when you go off to decide that you want to get somebody else's land because it's your manifest destiny. Go ahead.
And I'll render unto Babylon and to all the inhabitants of Chaldea all their evil that they have done in Zion in your sight, says Yahweh.
Right. And understand something. Who ordered the destruction of Jerusalem? The Europeans. The same people, Britain and America, went and set up these people who they call Israel. So the same people who destroyed it then turned around and set people as the Jews up in the land. That's why he was mentioning the lady saying, no, they're occupiers. I know who they are. Them people don't belong there. Go ahead.
Behold, I'm against you, O destroying mountain, says Yahweh, which destroyeth all the earth. And I'll stretch out mine hand upon you, and will roll you down the rocks, and will make you a burnt mountain. And they shall not take of you a stone for a corner, nor a stone for foundations, but you shall be desolate forever, says Yahweh.
Right. Don't nobody want no nuclear stones. When them stones got radiation on them, you do realize that you get radiation on you just by picking up the stone. You rub against a radiated stone, you are now radiated. And you think, people say, well, man, I mean, if we want to build something, we can go over there. There's all kind of rock over there. We can just go over there and bring the materials. And now we're not going to use none of them materials over there. Go ahead.
Set you up a standard in the land. Blow the trumpet among the nations. Prepare the nations against her.
Blow the trumpet against. See? That shofar is supposed to be blown when Israel gathers together. That trumpet is also blown to set forth war and destruction. That trumpet is blown to set forth gathering. So you have a lot of things. When you talk about the trumpets and the vials that are in Revelation, these things are set forth by the blowing of the trumpet. What does it say when Yahshua returns? At the last trump. Go ahead.
Call together against her the kingdoms of Ararat, Mini, and Ashkenaz.
I'm sorry. Ashkenazite Jew. The least of the flock shall draw them out. It's right there. It's right there. Go ahead.
Appointed captain against her. Cause the horses to come up as the rough caterpillars.
And how easy is it to set you up when you have given them all of your weaponry? How easy is it to set you up that when you get caught in a sting doing something wrong, that you then want to speak to the American government, that the Israeli prime minister came while Obama was here and spoke to Congress unannounced. He spoke to the American lawmakers like it was his parliament. And he could barely get 5 words out without them standing, giving a standing ovation and clapping. Every 5 words, they were back on their feet. And Obama sitting here like, this fool almost got us in the war. And then everybody else over here standing and clapping at every word he say. Because they did some stuff to shut down Syria's nuclear plant, and Syria caught them. They talked America into joining into this thing. But instead of Israel letting it be a slow process, because it was basically inputting a virus into the Syrian nuclear plant, Israel tried to beef it up. And when they did it, that's how they got caught. That's why it was, it was Iranian. I'm sorry. That's why the dude said, we can prove that America and Israel did it. We have the proof, but we're going to hold it. They almost got a full-blown war. And it was Ashkenaz that almost pulled us into the war. And after it was known and they got caught, and Obama started dealing harshly with Israel, they came over here so they could show Obama, in a couple of years you're going to be gone. But your people, they in the palm of our hand. So these people sitting there clapping don't know that Israelis almost got this place bombed. And that was on accident. Imagine what they're going to do on purpose. Go ahead.
Prepare against her the nations with the kings of the Medes.
With the kings of the Medes. Go ahead.
The captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion. And the land shall tremble and sorrow. For every purpose of Yahweh shall be performed against Babylon, to make the land of Babylon a desolation without an inhabitant.
Now, I know them sisters got to be cold, because I am cold. Can we do something about this air over here? Brother, go do something over here.
Verse 30. The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. They have remained in their holes. Their might has failed. They became as women. They have burnt her dwelling places. Her bars are broken.
What does it say that the flag is? Have you heard how they describe it?
Stars and bars.
Stars and bars. Go ahead.
One post shall run to meet another, and one messenger to meet another, to show the king of Babylon that his city is taken at one end.
Right. So if one post has to run to another, then that's saying now the communications are down. Now you understand why China wants control of those chips. Understand, if they get control of just of the manufacturing of how the chips are designed, then they can backdoor all of them. So while you looking around expecting somebody to attack, and you look and see your mouse just move, and who the hell did that? The people who made the chip. But now they got their technology, so now they into it. Go ahead.
You know, speaking of that technology, I read one of the articles slightly where they're now concerned of Russia pulling all their people off this internet. Mm-hmm. So it's like, now if we lose them being on the internet, we can't really figure out what's going on.
Oh, it's utterly interesting. You know, when you do all that flexing of muscle, these things have been going on for a long time. Russia has been talking, you know, saying, look, you keep expanding. This is like, when you talk about the Warsaw Pact and NATO, you're basically dealing like, let's take it in simple terms. It's turf war with gangs. Now, you got one that wear blue, another that wear red. They gonna notice, look, man, we let 14th Street be our buffer. I don't cross 14th Street, you don't cross 14th Street. Bro, why is it, man, when I'm on 13th Street, I keep seeing your people on 14th? You are provoking us to war. In layman's terms, this is what Russia been saying for a very long time. I keep seeing you over here on 14th Street. Why are you here? And then I keep seeing you passing out your propaganda. Not only are you here, but it looked like you're recruiting. We said that this was going to be the buffer now. I abided by the agreement. But it don't look like you're abiding by the agreement. So, what does Russia do? Talk to the people on 14th Street. Yeah, look, y'all need to stop letting them come over here. We have kept y'all out of this war. We don't fight on 14th Street. We war with them on the other side. They war with us on this side. We have allowed peace to happen to 14th Street. So, stop dealing with them and letting them come over there and talk to your people. And you're going to be safe. Well, 14th Street, Ukraine, decided that they were going to keep talking. Well, they said, all right, we done talking. What we're going to do is destroy 14th Street. We're going to make it a desolate wilderness. We told you to stop talking to them people. Now we know it's going to be a buffer between us and them. Because the buffer going to be all your destroyed rubble that they're not going to be able to just drive through. Because we're going to destroy all the bridges. We're going to destroy everything. If they even try to come over here, we're going to know a month ahead. Because they're going to have to move all these rocks to get to us. Go ahead.
And that the passages are stopped, and the reeds they have burnt with fire, and the men of war are frighted. For thus says Yahweh of hosts, the El of Israel, the daughter of Babylon is like a threshing floor. It is time to thresh her. Yet a little while, and the time of her harvest shall come.
All right. So now let's go to the next graphic, and let's read, because we had the king of the Medes. So let's read, start there and look at this definition of the Medes.
From H4074, Mede, Media, or Medes, or Medei, middle land, pardon me, a people descended from the son of Japhet, and who inhabited the territory of Media, noun proper masculine, land inhabited by the descendants of Japhet, located northwest of Persia proper, south and southwest of the Caspian Sea, east of Armenia and Assyria.
So when you deal with all of these things, who we call Iran, these are Persian people in this area. So you have, now you got a lot of mixing that ended up happening over time, but you have to understand where these things are located. And then when you talk about Armenia, you're getting these sons of Japhet over in these areas. Go ahead and finish that.
And west and northwest of the great salt desert of Aram.
Now, let's go to the next graphic. Now, this is Nikita Khrushchev comments openly saying it was given to us by prophecy, talking about America, saying we will destroy you, for it is given to us by prophecy. He took, that's his shoe in his hand. He took his shoe off and beat on the podium, talking about destroying them, and it was at some kind of United Nations, UN Council situation. So everybody's there. Mm-hmm. This is not a secret thing when he's talking about it is given to us by prophecy. What prophecy was he talking about? The one we just read. So I don't know. We know who Babylon is, and we know who the daughter of Babylon is, and we know we gonna destroy you. Now understand, they don't have that kind of power at the time he's saying this. He doesn't have the power to destroy them. Now they just want to call him an old fool. Now look at what has happened generations later. Now you got somebody standing up, and they got all the weapons and all the power. And they have been raised with the mindset of what this man was saying then. It is given to us by prophecy. We will destroy you. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 49. Brother, did you turn that down or what you did? Because I ain't felt nothing stop, bro. All right. So let's go and just turn it off for a second. Let's I know Uzi baby all curled up over there. The baby like, it's cold in here. You know, Uzi always cold. So, you know, baby probably cold.
Just hit off and then done.
Yeah. Trying to find off.
In the middle.
Should be on the bottom left.
Yeah, let's see. Schedule whole black screen.
Let's go Isaiah 49 and let's start that at verse 1.
Listen, O isles, unto me, and hearken you people from far. Yahweh has called me from the womb. From the bowels of my mother has he made mention of my name. And he has made my mouth like a sharp sword. In the shadow of his hand has he hid me, and made me a polished shaft. In his quiver has he hid me, and said unto me, You are my servant, O Israel, in whom I'll be glorified. Then I said, I have labored in vain. I have spent my strength for naught, and in vain. Yet surely my judgment is with Yahweh, and my work with my Elohim. And now, says Yahweh, that formed me from the womb, to be his servant, to bring Jacob again to him. Though Israel be not gathered, yet shall I be glorious in the eyes of Yahweh, and my Elohim shall be my strength. And he said, It is a light thing that you should be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob, and to restore the preserved of Israel. I will also give you for a light to the Gentiles, that you may be my salvation unto the end of the earth.
I will give you as a light to the Gentiles. So that the doctrine that ends up becoming amongst the areas where we have been spread it, ends up becoming a light unto them. It ends up getting them out of darkness if they deal with it. Go ahead.
Thus says Yahweh, the Redeemer of Israel and his Holy One, to him whom man despise, to him whom the nation abhorreth, to a servant of rulers. Kings shall see and arise, princes also shall worship, because of Yahweh that is faithful, and the Holy One of Israel, and he shall choose you. Thus says Yahweh, in an acceptable time have I heard you, and in a day of salvation have I helped you.
In an acceptable time I have heard you. What is an acceptable time? When he feel like it. When is it acceptable? When all us praying for a bunch of different things, that's noise. One person praying for health and redemption, and the other person praying for some 20s. But when oppression hits you, everybody's prayer is the same. Please get this weight off of me. Yahweh, please protect us from the army that is advancing against us. I guarantee you, when an army is shooting at you, ain't nobody praying for 20-inch rims. Go ahead.
And I'll preserve you and give you for a covenant of the people to establish the earth, to cause to inherit the desolate heritages, that you may say to the prisoners, go forth. To them that are in darkness, show yourselves. They shall feed in the ways, and their pastures shall be in all high places. They shall not hunger nor thirst, neither shall the heat nor sun smite them. For he that has mercy on them shall lead them. Even by the springs of water shall he guide them. And I'll make all my mountains a way, and my highways shall be exalted. Behold, these shall come from far, and lo, these from the north and from the west, and these from the land of Sinim.
You know, we had a question sent in, and the question was, who were the Asians in, can you find them in the Bible? And this was a perfect time to deal with some of those things. Keep going. We're going to get a little deeper into that.
Sing, O heavens, and be joyful, O earth, and bring forth into singing, and break forth, into singing, O mountains. For Yahweh has comforted his people, and will have mercy upon his afflicted. But Zion said, Yahweh has forsaken me, and my Adonai has forgotten me.
Right. When you deal with the long period of time that the children of Israel have been scattered, of course, Israel will say, Yahweh has forgotten us. Look at how many generations we have been off in these places suffering. He has forgotten about us. Then Yahweh has to remind Israel, oh, I haven't forgotten about you. For a little time, I turn my back to you. Because see, my time and your time ain't the same kind of time. See, you put a kid in a corner and you tell him to stay in there 10 minutes. That kid is like, Mama, I was in the corner forever. It was 4 days. Daddy put me in. The guy was 4 days. I woke up 4 times. Then your woman come to you, why you punishing this kid? You done put him in there for 4 days. He was over there 4 minutes. He told me it was 4 days. It seemed like 4 days to him. Because he a child. Go ahead.
Can a woman forget her sucking child, that she should not have compassion on the son of her womb? Yea, they may forget, yet will I not forget you. Behold, I have graven you upon the palms of my hands. Your walls are continually before me.
Right. I couldn't forget you if I wanted to. Go ahead.
Your children shall make haste. Your destroyers and they that made you waste shall go forth of you. Lift up your eyes round about, and behold, all these gather themselves together and come to you.
All these gather themselves together and come to you. Instead of us running to the nations, when Israel is set in their rightful place, they gonna run to us. Go ahead.
As I live, says Yahweh, you shall surely clothe you with them all, as with an ornament, and bind them on you as a bride does.
You shall clothe yourself with them. So all of the harsh labor that Israel has been made to suffer all over the earth shall be recompensed. Go ahead.
For your waste and your desolate places and the land of your destruction shall even now be too narrow by reason of the inhabitants, and they that swallowed you up shall be far away. The children which you shall have, after you have lost the other, shall say again in your ears, the place is too strait for me. Give place to me that I may dwell. Then shall you say in your heart, who has begotten me these? Seeing I have lost my children.
Right, seeing I have lost my children, where these children come from? See, you may have in a family where Yahweh might pick the parents, but then those parents will have to raise some other kids, because these are the kids that he's bringing in the kingdom. See, we take it for granted that Yahweh, okay, well, Yahweh gonna bring me, he gonna bring all my kids. He might say, look, I got love for you, but your kid is wicked. Your kid not coming. You coming. And you see your friend over there? Your friend's wicked. But his kid's good. So, you coming, and his kid's coming. And you gonna raise his kids. That's the way the kingdom is put together. You just think that he's going to deal with everything in your house because it's your house. Wrong answer. You might have to raise kids that ain't yours. Joseph knew that Yahshua wasn't his kid. That's why he was going to put her away privately. He was engaged to a woman, and then she come up pregnant. Now, being a just man, he was going to put her away privately. Because you know what happened if he told people? Well, we was supposed to be engaged and, she came up pregnant. Oh no, she was getting stoned to death. She was dying. So being a just man, Joseph he was going to handle his separation with her privately. I'm just going to go somewhere and you just stay here, and that's how we going to do this. Then Yahweh got to come. No, man. Not going to marry her. This is of me. I'm doing something with this child. And no, this is not going to be your child, but I need you to raise this child. See, you got to understand that as a concept. That Yahweh is openly putting forth the same situation that he brought forth with Yahshua. Same situation here. We make it in that kingdom. You might be raising somebody else's kids. You might have to take on those kids. Part of that mission, brother. You can stay here by yourself and then die if you want to. Or you make it in the kingdom. What the hell you want to do? We keep taking it for granted that everybody making it. No. You gonna have little kids. Somebody got to take care of them kids. Because their parents ain't making it. Go ahead, bro.
And am desolate, a captive, and removing to and fro. And who has brought up these? Behold, I was left alone. These, where had they been?
He had already said what? You're going to inherit houses that you didn't build. You're going to have vineyards that you didn't plant. Right. And you're going to raise kids that you didn't bear. But they're going to be yours forevermore after that. Their kids going to be your grandkids. Go ahead.
Thus says the Adonai Yahweh, behold, I will lift up my hand to the Gentiles and set up my standard to the people, and they shall bring your sons in their arms, and your daughters shall be carried upon their shoulders. And kings shall be your nursing fathers, and their queens your nursing mothers. They shall bow down to you with their face toward the earth.
Now, some people take this too far. Cats be downtown, lick my feet, Gentile. Nah, hold on, bro. Hold on. Yeah, you taking this too far. Understand when this even takes place. So first of all, y'all at the wrong time anyway. All right. So if you want to go ahead and and put it there, this ain't even the time. And kings shall be your nursing fathers, and their queens your nursing mothers. You got to understand something. We were made to nurse the children who supposedly hated us. The slave mother was given the master's children, because, Miss Ann ain't finna, feed a baby herself. I mean. So then what you think happened when the slave baby got ready to eat? Ain't no more milk for that baby because master's baby is nursed on your mother's breast. as she has done, let it be done unto her. So he says, kings and queens. No, their nobles are going to be your servants. You got to rattle that around in your head. Not their peasants shall be servants to you. No. Their kings are going to serve you, which means all their people are going to have to serve you. That means all of their people. Just like we have a tax that comes out of our check that goes and pays for whatever the nations want to pay for. Like we paying for all those bombs that they then, sent to Ukraine. If you look close enough, you'll find your name on the bomb. If you ain't seen it, you just ain't looked deep enough yet. You don't pay for a plane or a tank. Yeah, you don't pay for it. You just don't know how to look. When you look on your check, look down toward the bottom. It's the thing say FICA. Mm-hmm. That's your portion. You have bought many a weapon, have paid for many mercenaries. Well, we got to get that back. Go ahead.
And lick up the dust of your feet, and you shall know that I am Yahweh. For they shall not be ashamed that wait for me. Shall the prey be taken from the mighty, or the lawful captive delivered? But thus says Yahweh, even the captives of the mighty shall be taken away, and the prey of the terrible shall be delivered. For I'll contend with him that contendeth with you, and I will save your children. And I will feed them that oppress you with their own flesh, and they shall be drunken with their own blood.
Right, but here's the thing: we're not doing that. See, this is what people have to understand. So when they say that I will make them bow down at your feet and bow down to the earth and lick up the dust of your feet, you got to understand, Yahweh is going to do that. So when you try to do and implement these things on yourself, you're going to do it in the wrong way, and you're going to do it to the wrong people. Because them people who got people kissing their feet, that ain't no king that got kissing their feet. That's somebody that done got off the 34 bus. Ain't no glory that you done got, this meth addict to kiss your feet. So you think you accomplished something? She on meth. She kiss anything. But when you get a king, now see, that's altogether different. So trust me, when you go out on the internet and watch these dudes, they doing it all wrong. Ain't no kings and queens kissing their feet. Go ahead, bro.
That's funny because you already rewarding yourself, so when it's time for the real reward, you ain't getting to go get none.
And then you rewarding yourself with the lips of a meth addict. What a dumb reward. Go ahead, bro.
As with sweet wine, and all flesh shall know that I, Yahweh, am your Savior and your Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob.
All right, so let's go to the next graphic here, because it mentions that it was going to bring Israel from afar, even from the land of Sinim. Now let's read the definition of Sinim.
H5515, Sinim, plural of an otherwise unknown name. Sinim, a distant oriental region.
So that's all we get from there. That's on Strong. So let's go to the next graphic and get the Brown Drivers Briggs definition.
Sinim equals thorns, a people living at the extremity of the known world, may be identified with the inhabitants of southern China.
Right. So then we ask, wait a minute, why would our people be in China? So then let's go to the next graphic. Go ahead, brother. I need you to start reading that.
Like the albino European, the mulatto and albino Mongols of today are the winners of ancient race wars. though race may not have been the primary issue at the time.
Right. There are albinos of every group of people. But you have to understand there's a reason why they call Africa Mother Africa. Every people of this planet come from that region. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. If they come from this earth, they came off of Africa. Understand that. Go ahead.
And like the European albino, the mulatto, and
Or mixed. That's what mulatto means. These are people who are mixed. Go ahead.
and albino Mongols of Northeast Asia are committed to hiding this part of their history. As a comparison, the people of Southeast Asia openly display lifelike artifacts of the black people who were originally ruled and inhabited their lands.
Now, these are things that they will hide. A lot of these other countries try to hide the original black existence that was already there. Like when you go and deal with the situation of Australia, they call the people the Aborigines. What are they? Aboriginal? Wait a minute. Aboriginal means those are the original people. So black people were the original people here? Go ahead.
Thus, our history of China must necessarily be a fitting together of few pieces of information that we have. This Shang map gives historical perspective. The map clearly shows that the territory of the Mongol, Chinese, Sinic people is different from that of the Shang and others.
So when you deal with that name, you go Mongol, Chinese, Sinic, then you have the Sinim, which Yahweh said these far off places where I'm going to pull some of my people from. See, we're not expecting, when you have all of these people, especially when you got people who have decided that this tribe is this people, this tribe is this people. Some of y'all gonna be real surprised when you look over and see the people who was at the chicken wing place standing in, Israel. You like, so you here to give us fried rice? Why you here? They're like, no, I'm an Israelite. What? Stop judging on things where you think it might look like. Go ahead.
It's funny when you keep saying this word Mongol. I remember when I was younger, they used to have Mongoloid, Caucasoid, and Negroid.
Yep.
And got rid of it.
Yep. You don't hear it anymore. Mongoloid, Caucasoid, and Negroid. You don't hear it. But when you start breaking down all the things of a race and people, you're going to run right back into those terms. They don't like to mention those terms no more. Go ahead, brother.
The words Sinic, Sino, Mongol, Han all relate to what we call Chinese people today. Confirmation that the white Caucasian race is derived from Dravidian albinos is documented in the findings from genetic analysis of Y DNA haplogroup R. Haplogroup R, Y DNA, in human genetics, haplogroup R is a Y chromosome DNA haplogroup, a subgroup of the haplogroup P defined by the M207 mutation.
So, when you talk about the things that were given unto us, that blonde hair and blue eyes was this desirable thing, you're talking about, and there are some who will openly say, and we've read this before, where Euro-Gentiles, their medical definition will tell you that those were mutations that caused their skin not to have pigmentation or melanin. Go ahead.
This haplogroup is believed to have arisen around 2,600 years ago, somewhere in Central Asia or South Asia, where its ancestor haplogroup group P is most often found at polymorphic frequencies. Cambridge University's geneticist Kavitzild, 2003 suggests that Southern and Western.
I don't blame you, bro. Just go on. Just go on. Just do it like you do the lyrics to a song. You be like, and a man went some down the street. You know what I'm saying? You know, just mumble this thing. You know, and then just get to the words. You know, bro. That's just, you know what I'm saying? That's how we gonna do it. Y'all practicing for karaoke? All right then.
Michelle is.
Hey, bro. You know what I'm saying? Y'all getting ready for karaoke? All right then. That's what we gonna do. We gonna, you know, you sing the words that you know. You sing them strong. All right? And the ones you don't know, you know what I'm talking about? Just move the mic back a little bit. You know what I'm talking about? Go ahead.
Add a Shimon in there, huh?
Shimon. Yeah. Just yeah. That's it. That's what I'm gonna do. Add a Shimon in there. That's a good idea, brother. I like that. Just get you know, that could have been James Brown whole thing. He didn't know the word. Just, you know what I'm saying? Just add a you know what I'm saying? Just throw it in there when you don't know what you're saying. Go ahead, bro.
2003 suggests that Southern and Western Asia might be the source of this haplogroup, given the geographic spread and STR diversities of sister clades R1 and R2, the latter of which is restricted to India, Pakistan, Iran, and Southern Central Asia. It is possible that Southern and Western Asia were the source for R1 and R1A differentiation.
Now, understand something. These are things that, you know, you go to all these places, or you go to the doctor, right? They are taking your blood. They got all this information. And you do know that somehow China has worked their way into getting all of our DNA tests. That is how they have been able to make weapons that are DNA specific. So that means they could drop a bomb here and only us get sick. So when you have these situations that are happening where we just, conveniently become the ones who get more sick than other people, it was designed to kill off our numbers. So when people say, the term minority is a very misleading term, and it's meant to get into your head. When you get down into the melanated people of the world versus the non-melanated people of the world, we are not a minority. Okay, please don't let nobody fool you. Okay? Fact, step on that. Go ahead.
The R haplogroup is common throughout Europe and Western Asia and the Indian subcontinent, and in those whose ancestry is from within these regions. It also occurs in North and Sub-Saharan Africa. These albinos continued on to Central Asia, where they settled. One of their tribes was the Zoho. It seems logical to assume that It seems logical to assume that over the many thousands of years that it took for these migrants to reach Northern Asia, that there would have been some interbreeding between the various black tribes and the albinos, which probably allowed the albinos to gain some fixed degree of pigmentation. Proof of this admixture is in the fact that whites and Mongols, Chinese, both share the same founding Y DNA haplogroup K, which seems to have evolved during their migration to Northern Asia. But while they were still in Southern Asia, haplogroup K is not found in Africa, of course. Let me start that over. Haplogroup K is not found in Africa. Of course, the founding haplogroup of K is found in Africa. Further proof of white and black Mongol admixture is with the Tarim mummies, which are a series of mummies dating from 1800 BC, discovered in the Tarim Basin in present-day Xinjiang, which is of the Chinese border with Central Asia in northwest China. The oldest mummies are white people, but later, at about 1100 BC, they became a mixed race.
So what you're going to eventually see is that they have a origin story that most of the countries try to hide the colored part of their origin. If you think about it in some of the depictions that they do in their movies. If you think about how they had the Planet of the Apes, the apes ended up becoming smarter because of their situation that happened with them in the travel. But they were brought along as a pet. They were bringing the ape with them. The ape ended up getting some kind of enormous intelligence by that. The ship crashed, right? Where the ship crashed was evidence that the monkey was brought along. But because they had advanced, they then changed the origin story that the apes were always the smarter ones and the human was the pet. So to protect that narrative, they made sure that nobody could go to the wreck site to see and find out that the ape was brought as a pet. The ape didn't fly here. The ape was brought here by hand. So to protect that lie, they created the narrative. They cut heads off and hung it. Oh, anybody get close to it, they would automatically feel like they're gonna get destroyed. They even blinded the other apes from the truth so that they would believe the lie. So consider the thought process of how that is done, and then you'll understand how other nations have been telling their origin story to make sure it does not include any colored people. Go ahead.
In Asia, one group similar to the Khoisan are represented by Y-DNA haplogroup D. In Africa, the pure Khoisan are known to be the world's oldest humans. They are Y-DNA haplogroup A. Y-DNA haplogroup D is found at high frequency among populations in Japan, Tibet, and the Andaman Islands in the Indian Ocean. And at the moderate frequency in Han Chinese, the Han Chinese constitute 92% of China's population. This, of course, proves that, as would be expected, the D people crossbred with everyone else. This group, now known as the Yoman, eventually migrated to Japan at about 35,000 BC. They lived there undisturbed for thousands of years.
All right, next graphic.
A pause to look across the Korea Strait, which connects China via the Korean Peninsula to the southwestern Japanese island of Yoshi and Honshu. The Korea Strait is about 120 miles wide and averages about 300 feet deep. It is dotted with many islands, thus making island hopping relatively easy. At about 35,000 BC, a group of these African Chinese, later known to us as the Yoman, took this route and entered Japan. They became the first humans to inhabit the Japanese islands. Later, another group, known to us as the Ainu, followed.
And when you look at, you have certain depictions of Africans, and you end up seeing these people, and they have the features that we would say are Asian. And these people have no mixture whatsoever going on with them. You would look at them and say, oh, these people are Asian. And we're doing that, of course, by the definition of what we think Asian is. Not understanding everything derived from this same area. Okay? Everything on this planet came out of Africa. So whatever you gonna find somewhere else, you're gonna find it in Africa. You're gonna find the origin of what they are in Africa. Understand, we're talking about the base building block of what they are. Go ahead.
It's interesting when you talk to anyone in them places, the darkest of them people still catching hell.
Yep. And let me tell you something. It threw me off the first time that one of those things that is like the Draca, I forgot the name of them. When you talk about those are the dark-skinned Indians. When I saw those people, it blew me. I'm talking about Indians who the shade of Mishael. And then you look at them and you like, where they come from? They jet black, straight hair, but way blacker than us. I mean, I look light skin. And it threw me. I ended up seeing an Indian that was so dark, his beard matched his face, and it threw me. I was staring at the man in the shopping center. I was like, I never seen that before. And they treat them different. They treat them different, but you find out they're the real base. Go ahead.
Although we do not have ancient lifelike depictions of the Yoman and Ainu, we do have pictures of members of their former migratory group, their genetic cousins, the Adman Islanders of the Indian Ocean, just off the coast of Burma and Thailand. Oddly, Indians were not part of this group. Today, Adaman genes can still be found in 40% of modern Japanese, as well as Mongolians and Tibetans. Genetic testing specific to Zai, Shang, and Olmec, as far as we know, has not yet been done.
All right, let's go to the next graphic right here. Now, one of the things that ends up happening with this is the same things that we see happen in Egypt. The people in Egypt, to try and represent themselves as the original ancient Egyptians, they have repainted the artifacts that are there, so that what they did was basically put bleaching cream on the paint, because the ancient Egyptians are Hamitic, they are darker skinned people. So to make those monuments look like them, they altered the coloring on them. Go ahead, can you read that?
The albino and Mongol mulatto people have created an incredible array of lies to cover up the blackness of ancient Chinese. These lies naturally center around the Qing Dynasty warriors, because they are our only accurate depictions of what the Chinese people looked like over 2,000 years ago. Once it came out that the warriors were originally painted in lifelike colors, in order to explain away the black faces on some and the black and pink colors on others of the warriors, they claimed that the base coat of lacquer turned black as it hardened. Thus, in the albino's lying world, in a face like this one, pink is the color it was painted, and black is the exposed lacquer base coat. They love to use this picture because depth perception is almost impossible on it in telling which color is on top. But in the real world, we know there is no such thing as black lacquer. Lacquer is transparent. Therefore, the pink that you see here is the terracotta clay. The black that you see here is the paint. The face was painted black. In the yellow circle above, you can plainly see that the black paint is above the pink clay.
What color is Buddha?
Black.
Anybody ever wondered why that was? Let's go to the next graphic.
Why do Japanese wear white makeup? Answer: in Japan, beauty has long been associated with a light skin tone. During the Nara period, 710 to 794 AD, women painted their face with a white powder called oshiro. And in the Heian period, 794 through 1185 AD, a white facial color continued to stand as a symbol of beauty.
So this is the symbol of beauty. Now, let's go to the next graphic, because I end up asking my kids this question right here, because they got me in the anime watching stuff. You know, I watch whatever is going on in that room. All right. Read what's on this next graphic.
Anime refers specifically to animation from Japan.
So, and they recognize beauty with whiteness. So then they paint, y'all seen all of the things, like what the last graphic, the white painted face. I asked my kids, I said, ain't this an Asian cartoon? They said, yeah. I said, well, why all the people look like white people? They said, I don't know. I said, that looks strange. Why would anybody put all this money into producing all these cartoons and none of them look like them? Because they all supposed to be painted in whiteface. Go ahead.
Anime refers specifically to animation from Japan, or is a Japanese disseminated animation style often characterized by colorful graphics, vibrant characters, and fantastical themes. Note that anime characters do not have Mongol facial features.
Right. All right. So now we're gonna go to the next one. My daughter Lexi put me on this one right here. This is my avatar. Not this one, but there's another one. Go ahead and read it. Now this is the story of this one, but understanding the actual history of those lands, you know that this can't actually be true. Read this.
The first foreigner to be a samurai was a 6-foot-tall African who also was one of the first Africans to ever arrive on the island 500 years ago.
That cannot be true. It cannot be possible. But they have to present a narrative as to when color got there. And this is the one that they're going to stick to. Go ahead.
During the feudal reign of the legendary Oda Nobunaga, the first of the 3 unifiers of Japan. The warlord ordered him to remove his clothes while a flock of servants tried to scrub the black ink off his skin.
Now, can you imagine us trying to wash the black off Mishael? We're going to be washing a long time.
Well, scrub him harder. You must not be doing it right.
Go ahead.
Little did the warlord know that the slave was destined to become the world's first black samurai.
Now, here's the interesting thing. On one places, one writing, they'll say he was a slave. Another one, they say they suppose that he may have been a slave. All right, go ahead.
He would go on to become the first foreign-born man to achieve the status of a samurai warrior, and is the subject of 2 films being produced by Hollywood, known as Yasuki. Yasuki, the man was a warrior who reached the rank of samurai under the rule of Oda Nobunaga, a powerful 16th century Japanese feudal lord who was the first of 3 unifiers of Japan. In 1579, his arrival in Kyoto, the capital at the time, caused such a sensation that people climbed over one another to get a glimpse of him, with some being crushed to death, according to historian Lawrence Winkler.
So he was that interesting. So what is this? All right, let's go to the next graphic. Now this is my avatar right here.
Within a year, Yasuki had joined the upper echelons of Japan's warrior class, the samurai.
Stop. You know how long it take to learn martial art? That means he already knew it when he got there. And there are already stories that these are arts that was already practiced in Africa, and the Asians kept it because of their constant warring, and we did not keep it. You don't become no samurai. You ain't becoming a ninja in a year. And so much that he rose to the ranks. No, he knew how to fight when he got there. Now, where he learned that at? Go ahead.
Before long, he was speaking Japanese fluently and riding alongside Nobunaga in battle. His height was 6 shaku 2 sun, roughly 6 feet 2 inches, 1.88 meters. He was black, and his skin was like charcoal. A fellow samurai, Matsudaira Etada, described him in his diary in 1579.
Right, but when we go in the Bible and we want to say Niger, and it say nigger, and we look up the word, and it's Latin for black, they say we having some racial issues. They say he was black as charcoal. Go ahead.
Yasuki has lived on in the imaginations of many Japanese who grew up with the award-winning children's book Kurosuke. Kuro meaning black in Japanese, by Kurosu Yoshio. The book, which dramatizes Yasuki's life, ends with a bittersweet note. After Nobunaga kills himself, Yasuki is taken to a temple where he dreams of his parents in Africa and weeps.
Now, if you look behind this graphic, you see the demon-looking thing in the back part, but then you see, you know, the black samurai up toward the front. But you gotta also notice the part that's in the back part of that as well. Go ahead.
Entertainment industry newspaper Variety reported in May that Black Panther actor Chadwick Boseman is set to play Yasuki in a forthcoming feature film.
And of course, he passed away before that could be done. So although this was supposed to be presented to us as when, you know, this first black samurai, but when we read this, the accounts of the origins, that cannot be so. There has to be more that were there. Let's go to Acts chapter 2.
You know, what's interesting is as you talk about us teaching them, how then they turn around and wanted to protect it and didn't want to teach any outsiders.
Exactly. But I mean, isn't that the same thing that we've faced everywhere else? The things that we've created, we created on plantations. But wasn't we also forbidden from going into jobs of the very places that our people created the thing? Ain't no different. We face the same thing here. Acts chapter 2, and let's start that at verse 1.
And when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place. And suddenly there came a sound from heaven as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting. And there appeared unto them cloven tongues like as of fire, and it sat upon each of them.
Now, we talked about a little bit, talked on this on Bible study. When you look, I want you to pay attention to the graphic and just the lands that it mentions where all these people are coming from, okay? So you see, this is the laughter that I have when people push speaking Hebrew and how, you know, you can't be a true Hebrew Israelite if you don't speak Hebrew. Because understand, when it says that it's going to get our people out of Sinim, that means there are Asian people that are there who we are going to look at and say they Chinese or they Japanese, and Yahweh going to come and sit them right beside you. When you consider all these different languages, how are you knowing Hebrew going to help you when you got 60 different languages in front of you? It is hilarious to me how small the mind is of our people, that they're going to spend all their time learning root words. Look at, this is just one glimpse of where our people are coming from. This is one glimpse. This doesn't mention anything about the transatlantic slave trade. It doesn't mention anything about all these other, when it's saying that I'm going to get these people, like in Isaiah, from Elam, from the Medes. You know, we think Black Russian is just a drink. Go ahead.
And they were all filled with the Holy Spirit. And there appeared unto them cloven tongues like as of fire, and it sat upon each of them. And they were all filled with the Holy Spirit and began to speak with other languages as the Spirit gave them utterance. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Yehudis, devout men out of every nation under heaven. Now when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded, because that every man heard them speak in his own language.
Every man heard them speak in his own language. Jump to verse 9.
Parthians and Medes.
Black Russians. Go ahead.
And Elamites, and the dwellers in Mesopotamia, and in Judea, and Cappadocia, in Pontus, and Asia.
This is where they were able to come from at this time. Understand, it wasn't mass travel at that point. We can cover the globe now. Easy. So all you're going to get here are the regions that can make it back. People who have been scattered way far off, they can't make that trip. Go ahead.
Phrygia and Pamphylia in Egypt, and in parts of Libya about Cyrene, and strangers of Rome, Yehudis, and proselytes.
Right. So it is actually laughable if you try to even wrap the thought process of your mind that all Israel came out of Germany. It is laughable. It should not even be able to sit in your mind more than half a second. Go ahead.
Cretes and Arabians, we do hear them speak in our language the wonderful works of Elohim.
We got all of this happening right here in the New Testament, but somehow in 1948, they all come out of one place. But they coming out of all these different places before. Now somehow they all end up in Germany. That should be absolutely hilarious to you. And you have to be able to stand on the written word and understand. I don't care how long somebody has been there. I don't care what languages they speak, and they try to make you feel some kind of way. You got to stand on this word. This is too many different places that they are coming from. To all of a sudden in 1948, they just ended up all in Germany. That's peculiar. Go ahead.
And they were all amazed and were in doubt, saying one to another, what mean this? Others mocking said, these men are full of new wine.
Right. So, in this early time, just a time stamp here is AD 33. So we're talking about, 2,000 years ago. They were coming from so many different places that the Spirit needed to give them a special gift to understand one another. That gift was needed 2,000 years ago. What do you think is going to be needed now? So you tell all the Hebrew studiers, good job. Kudos. But it damn sure ain't gonna help you here. Because this is just a fragment of what's going to be returning back to the land. So you go ahead and speak your Hebrew. How is it going to help you when your Suki come back? You going to speak Hebrew to him? That's not going to help you. Go ahead, bro. Let's go to Revelation chapter 5 and let us hear the conclusion of this matter. It is utterly amazing. I've actually had somebody tell me that if you're not speaking Hebrew, then you're really not a Hebrew. I guess all these people that Yahweh gave that gift to in Acts, they must not have been Hebrew. And if they were not, why did he bother giving them a gift? So it's two reasons that doesn't make any sense. Why would he waste the gift of the Spirit on some people who wasn't worthy of the Spirit? Revelation chapter 5, and let's start that at verse 1.
And I saw in the right hand of him that sat on the throne a book written within and on the backside, sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, who is worthy to open the book and to loose the seals thereof? And no man in heaven, nor in earth, neither under the earth, was able to open the book, neither to look thereon. And I wept much, because no man was found worthy to open and to read the book, neither to look thereon. And one of the elders says unto me, weep not. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Yehudah, the root of David, has prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne and of the 4 beasts, and in the midst of the elders, stood a lamb as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of Elohim sent forth into all the earth.
Right. So this is what sets Yeshua apart from everybody else. You know, we have various questions that we're going to have to, get into. And a lot of times you hear people saying things about the Spirit. When you talk about this situation of Yahshua, you find 7 spirits. Nobody else got that. Moshe, even being close to Elohim and glowing in appearance, he didn't get 7 spirits. So it is important that we don't just merge all of that stuff together and think that puts everybody on the same level. Because somebody said they caught the Spirit. You know, we talk about the Spirit like it's, some kind of disease. I was down there, I went down to the club while Tuesday, I messed around and caught the Spirit, man. I got to take this medicine for 12 days. Caught the Spirit. Go ahead.
And he came and took the book out of the right hand of him that sat upon the throne. And when he had taken the book, the 4 beasts and 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, having every one of them harps and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of saints. And they sung a new song, saying, You are worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof. For you were slain and have redeemed us to Elohim by your blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation.
Hold on. Out of where? Out of where?
Out of every kindred.
Out of every kindred. Go ahead.
Every tongue.
Every language.
And people.
Out of every people.
And nation.
And nation. So tell me how your one language gonna help you. If the Spirit don't help you, you ain't walking around boasting in your little root words, you know. These people coming from all over the globe. And you coming with your simplistic mindset of Hebrew only. We're talking about the creator of the whole earth. Go ahead.
And has made us unto our Elohim kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. And I beheld, and I heard the voice of many angels round about the throne, and the beast, and the elders. And the number of them was 10,000 times 10,000, and thousands of thousands, saying with a loud voice, Worthy is the Lamb that was slain to receive power, and riches, and wisdom, and strength, and honor, and glory, and blessing. And every creature which is in heaven, and on the earth, and under the earth, and such as are in the sea, and all that are in them, heard I saying, Blessing and honor and glory and power be unto him that sits upon the throne, and unto the Lamb forever and ever. And the 4 beasts said, Amen. And the 24 elders fell down and worshiped him that lives forever and ever.
All right. The question we have to ask. What if a nation is extremely disobedient unto Yah? Does he use the mixed people of Israel who are among those nations to take their place if they decide not to adhere to his holy law? We have to remember, he did that once before when he used the children to bring them through and killed off the parents in our first Exodus. That's just a question we have to ask ourselves. Because according to what we have read, Israel has been scattered all over the globe. And we're coming from many, many, many directions. So these last two readings, Acts 2 and Revelation 5, every time you encounter one of those people who try to shove Yiddish or Hebrew, what they calling it today, all right, Yiddish is German. When they try to shove that down your throat, you make sure you got Acts chapter 2 and Revelation 5. There's another stuff you put in your loogie. All right? You keep it loogie ready. All right? Right with 2 Kings 17. You keep it right there. So that it's ready to fire out. Because they're going to tell you how great they are for the languages that they speak. But we got too many languages that's going to show up in that holy land. We got too many. So when them brothers come from Japan, what your Hebrew gonna do? That's all that we're gonna do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.